Bruv, it's good to see you. I mean, I ain't spoke to you for 2019. I think the last time we spoke was just before Sakira fight.
Secure fight.
Yeah, that's right, which is in October. A lot's happened since then.
Yes.
Some of it was touched on in the press conference. Andy mentioned how frustrated he was. He got over it quite quickly, the whole America thing. For you, though, as manager, coach, man behind the scenes, that must have been a difficult period.
Well, it's like I always said, and it's something. I think when Frank pulled us to the side, I think Anthony was looking at my reaction, and from the very beginning, I've had a philosophy that life is polarities. It's positive and negative in every situation, and it's down to the individual how you look at it. And for me, I assessed the whole year, right on that spot when Frank said we wasn't fighting, and I said, "How's the year been? 2018, 3 fights, 3 KOs, a global deal with Adidas, which I must continue to bark on about because
That's a big thing.
it's massive, and I don't know why it's not all over the place."
But you do know why.
Well, again, this is where one has to be very careful about how he thinks, because you start drifting over to that side of, this is the reason why it never happened, as opposed to let's enjoy the fact that it did happen. You can find yourself in trouble. So I just want to focus on the positive. The positive were with 3 fights, 3 wins, 3 KOs, a global deal with Adidas, a continued sponsorship with Foot Asylum, Maxi Muscle. This is fantastic. How can 2018 be bad? It wasn't. It was just that, for me, if you remember, we wasn't initially on the card. So when Frank gave me the call and said that we're on it, I was like, wow, this is like the icing on top of the icing. And so, yeah, the icing on top of the icing didn't happen, but the icing on the cake was absolutely there. And yes, I think Anthony himself took a step back, looked at the situation and said, you know what, Unks, yeah, you're right. Let's go back. I was back in the gym that very night. Me. Because, trainers got to train.
We know the philosophy out here.
And it's business as usual. 2019, we're looking forward to a fantastic year.
Let's talk a little bit about the opponent. Frank touched on the fact that, he's got a bit of experience under his belt. He's long in the tooth. He threw the fact that if Yarde was to get a KO, that would look good. I love the way Frank does that. Just let's talk about the opponent for a minute and just the choice of opponent and the challenge you expect him to present.
Yes. Well, let me tell you something. My philosophy in boxing has always been knockout. I ain't looking about no points. As we say, where I come from, cancel. There's no points. It's KO. I've always had that mentality, and I feel, as Anthony touched on, that this is what the people want. We don't want to watch points. Because, in the hood, if the mans them are watching, sorry for my language, if we're watching boxing and it's a points contest, in the barber shops, in the food shops, they'll be saying, that boy was rubbish. So the mindset has always have to be KO for the fans. The fans want to see a knockout at the end of the night, and I've always had that mindset, and thankfully for me, Anthony has got the exact same mindset. He may not vocally say it, but one of us has got to be the mouthpiece.
Well, I guess that's what you're there for. You know what I mean? He doesn't need to present himself like that, and there's a certain perception that comes with fighters that talk in that way. 2019, what is the ambition this year? What is the focus from a manager's point of view?
Yes, the focus is always to win. There can be no other focus. Win, win, win. Absolutely. The thought of losing doesn't even come into my head. I just can't see it.
I'm more talking about titles.
Titles, we're gonna win them as well.
This year is that what we're looking at this year?
Well, again, I'm not Mystic Meg. I didn't know we was going to get a global deal with Adidas in 2018. I didn't. I just know that I've got big ambitions in the sport of boxing. Anthony Yarde is exactly the same. We want to be, and he said, touching it today, not only become world champion, unify all the belts and become a pay-per-view star. That is the goal that's what's gonna happen. I cannot stand here and tell you when that is gonna be. Right now, the belts are very fragmented. There are 4 champions, 4 belts,
4 targets.
4 targets. So it's not as though we're focused on one person. And again, Frank said that we're number 1 again. I think we were number 1, then we went to number 2, and now it seems that we're number 1. Even that I don't pay attention to. Neither does Anthony. The thing is, we're on a journey, and as long as we are better this year than we were last year, if this is the year that presents itself as the year that we do our famous handshake, hug, and shout out lions in the camp because we won that world title, then that's what it's going to be.
Let's clear up some other stuff. Saw Eddie chatting. Eddie talks a lot, we know. He loves the camera, innit? He loves the limelight. And I think what he does works, just for the record. But in terms of this whole British saga, let's clear that up. Was a phone call made?
No. This is what I'm trying to say. This is what, see, the reason why I stay close to my roots and my background, because most people do not understand how boxing works in the hood. Or let's not use that word, I don't really like that word.
In the neighbourhood. Our neighbourhood, bro.
In the neighbourhood, in the inner cities, because in London in particular, they don't really understand. They just hear somebody highly influential, rightly so at the moment, saying that we're ducking and dodging. For the record, Anthony Yarde and Tunde Ajayi ain't ducking and dodging no one. No offer was made to me. I keep saying this. You know my email address, tunde@staminaforsoul.com. Email me. I'm the manager.
But he said, and I'm not quoting him, I'm just going to paraphrase, along the lines of, he knows Yarde was ordered to fight, but he knows a phone call was put in.
Who said that?
I believe, if I got this right, cameraman, I don't know if you've seen the interview, but he said something along the lines of, he knows Yarde was meant to be ordered to fight Buatsi for the British, but he knows that a phone call got made to say, don't put Yarde forward. I just saw the interview the other day, so I can't quote it.
Let me give you the facts again. Now, a few months back, Hosea Burton was mandated to fight Anthony Yarde. I made a managerial position. We don't want to fight him. We want to fight the man who knocked him out, Frank Bugaloni. He asked for the fight. We didn't want to really go off our course, but since he was persistent of asking for the fight, we asked for the fight. Mr. Hearn publicly said, we're ducking, we're dodging Hosea Burton. Okay, you can say what you want to say. Okay, so the fight never happened. The Frank Bugaloni fight never happened. Now, less than a month ago, Callum Johnson was mandated to fight Joshua Buatsi. Now, if we're going to rewind the tape, what happened to that fight? So, who ducked that fight? You're going to try to fool the public about Callum Johnson has got a better offer and a bigger fight. Hold on. You're talking about the same man that ducked us, that refused to fight us, Sean Monaghan. So you heard that. You made that fight, Sean Monaghan, to escape your fighter fighting Callum Johnson. So you see, because you got a certain amount of viewers, the real man, that's why I like coming. Hold on. Didn't I call you last night and tell you I'm coming to you?
You did come to me. You did.
I told you this because I want the real guys, the guys who may not even have Sky TV, to know the honest truth. Anthony Yarde, Tunde Ajayi, we're not ducking no one. But what I'm saying is that it can't be one rule for one and one rule for another. What happened to that fight, Johnson? You saying that it's hard to find Buatsi a fight. Hold on, you got Hosea Burton there sitting on the couch, calling out for a fight every second. He's your man. Make that fight. This is what I'm trying to say. All it is why everybody's upset is because you're dealing with a man who understands the game, whereas Eddie Hearn is used to telling people and dictating their career. You want to go and rush Joshua Buatsi into fighting us and rush his career. No, sir. That's your business. You ain't rushing my managerial skills with my fighter, because me and Anthony are more than just a, go on, son, we got a fight for you. Take that one. It ain't going like that. It's going to be meticulous planning. It's going to be strategic, and it's going to be the right fight at the right time. So think about it. Who is number one in the WBO then goes back and fight for a British title fight? Would their fighters do it? Would their coaches do it? Would Joe Gallagher do that? Would who's Joshua Buckley's trainer? I don't even know. Who's his trainer? Would he do that? No, you wouldn't. So stop trying to make us look like we're the bad guys when you know, even from a business standpoint, you don't go backwards. Canelo Alvarez does not leave his lofty position as a world champion and fight for the Mexican title. It don't make no sense. So please, Mr. Hearn, you're a son of a chartered accountant. I'm a son of a chartered accountant, in case you didn't know. Samuel Olatubosun Ajayi.
Speak it.
ACCA, SEMA qualified, chartered accountant. Me, his son. So me and you are on the same wavelength. We know, it's just that you've been in the game a little bit more. I don't know that, if you've been in the game a little bit more, because I study boxing. And I think I'm older than you if I'm correct. And but it's nothing to do with the age. He's on a big platform, and I respect everything that he's done and he's doing for his fighters. But don't try and make me out to be a bad guy, because you're not dealing with one of those guys who can't speak for themselves. We can speak for ourselves, we can represent ourselves, and we talk the truth. There's nothing that we've said that has been untrue. We never got no offer, and I keep telling it, Mr. Hearn, email me, phone me. I'm from the road, 07814.
Didn't he email you on camera once?
Listen, I give my email, I give my phone number. 07814-834-461. I ain't hiding that.
I don't know if you should have done that. I don't know if you should. I'm going to delete that.
Nah, I don't even delete it. Listen, we ain't hiding that. Listen, I'm telling you, anybody can phone me. Because guess what? I'm in control. I would just delete it, press reject, or don't answer the text. I ain't worried. Listen, we'll buy another phone. But that's my phone number. Give me a call.
Right, listen, I'm gonna wrap this up. I don't like to keep you too long. I know there's a lot of people want to speak to you. You watched Badou Jack fight the other day?
Yeah, Badou's...
Brown looked like a killer, didn't he? But let's talk about Badou Jack. Should that fight have been stopped? There's a few opinions in my camp that some people think it should have been stopped. Some people think he should have had the right to fight on. He did, obviously. What was your thoughts on the fight, that injury, and the rest of the division?
Well, I'm happy that both combatants came out healthy and well. Badou's a very nice, humble human being, a very humble guy. Wish him all the best, all the success. And that was a bad cut, you know. But I think the fight was slipping away from him. If I'm honest, you know, I don't think Badou really did what he was supposed to do in terms of he was letting Marcus run away with the fight. You know, I personally would have just gone in there and just it's a singers because if you let a boxer just sit back and box, you're not gonna get any results. And I feel that's what Badou done. But he you know, Badou, he's not young, but he's old enough to readjust. Hopefully the wound will heal up. You know, because that was a nasty cut. That was a nasty cut. But I can't see if that cut really would have had any effect on the fight. I'm just being honest. The question, did Marcus Brown look like a killer? Not to me. I'm a boxing man.
Nothing to worry about it. Say no more. All right, listen, we could continue all day long. We're going to talk about the Kovalev thing another time. All right? But I'm sure you've got plenty to say on that. I expect a win from Anthony for his next fight, February 23, the same day as the Eubank fight, right?
Again, a clash. Listen. Energy goes where energy flows. It gives the fans options, and that can't be wrong. The main fact is that everybody's watching boxing, and they have a choice where they can watch their favourite fighter in the girl Eubanks or their favourite fighter in Anthony Yarde. My favourite fighter is Anthony Yarde, so I know where I'll be watching.
Say no more. Tunde Ajayi, thanks for your time as always, man. Really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, and thank you for the